Let the record reflect that we have reconvened with all members present. Councilmember John Forte is absent excused tonight. For those who are able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I ask you to remain standing after the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's take a moment, as we always do, to remember members of our Madison family who have passed over the last few weeks. Joyce Ann Ruckelshaus died on February 15th at the age of 76 at her home in Bethlehem Township following a long illness. As most of you know, she was the wife of former Madison Mayor Gary Ruckelshaus. She was predeceased by her parents and two brothers, William and Thomas. She was survived by her husband of 54 years, Gary, and three children, Gary, Jill, and Julie, and her respective spouses, and survived by her brother James, her sister Lori, and 8 grandchildren. Joyce, for those who know her, is known for her ready and cheerful smile, her sparkling eyes, her caring ways, and her willingness to help those in need. She graduated from Belleville in 1965 and College of St. Elizabeth in 1969 with a degree in elementary education. After raising her children, she went back to school, received certifications in accounting and bookkeeping, and she embarked on a lengthy and successful career as bookkeeper, office manager for local businesses. She used her accounting skills for volunteer positions, including serving treasurer at Madison Community Pool for 25 years, treasurer at Madison Eagle Christmas Fund for 30 years, and treasurer for the TJ Foundation for Leukemia, Cancer and AIDS Research, the Madison Walkathon for 20 years. And in her leisure time, she loved tap dancing, which I did not know, baking, knitting, and relaxed on the beach with her family. A memorial visitation will be this Friday at Borough's and Core from 5 until 8, and the memorial mass is Saturday at 10:30 at St. Vincent's. For those that wish to make donations in her memory, the family suggested the Eagle Christmas Fund or the Madison Volunteer Ambulance Corps. We also remember Joan Boylan, longtime Madison resident, passed away at home on the 24th with her family by her side at the age of 95. Survived by 2 sons, Kevin and Edward, 2 daughters, Joan, Carol Ann, and their respective spouses, 15 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandchildren. She was predeceased by her husband of 49 years, and 1 brother and 1 sister. She was born in Cheshire, England in 1929, raised in Cheshire during World War II, came to the United States in 1947, married her husband Edwin, and the couple settled in Jersey City, where they raised her family and decided to head out to the burbs, and in 1982 moved to Madison, where they've lived ever since. She had an extensive career as legal secretary, including working with the assignment judge in Essex County and also appellate division Superior Court. She, after retirement, volunteered at St. Vincent and St. Thomas More. And Joseph Rimbriaco passed away on February 19th, age of 91, predeceased by his wife for more than 46 years, and his brother John was survived by his sister Alyssa, daughters Elizabeth, Andrea, Shelley, Monica, and their respective spouses leaves 9 grandchildren and 12 great-grandchildren. Grew up in the Peterson section of Elizabeth, graduated with highest honors from Notre Dame, and continued his education at Harvard Law, graduating class of 57, married Ann, and shortly after they initially lived in Brooklyn before settling in Madison in 1963. Raised her family here, resident of Madison for 50 years, volunteered for the Madison Housing Authority, St. Vincent Martyr Church, also ran for Madison Borough Council, if my memory serves me right, and then moved to Arizona. And just a little bit more information, I recognized Joseph DiBiase at our last meeting. He was a lifelong Madison resident. Just want to share a little bit more of his life. Noted his obituary. He was 88 when he died. Born in Madison in 1935, graduated Belleville, served in the United States Navy right after high school, and after being honorably discharged from the Navy, he began assisting his parents in the family business Central Lunch, which opened on July 13, 1928. Central Lunch was the oldest continuing family-owned business in Madison, He took over from his parents in 1982. I started visiting there shortly after that. He treasured his customers, as I can attest to, and treated us all like family. And his loyal customers, they had essential lunch for decades, passing the tradition on to the children, just as I did with our two boys. And the last transaction on August 2017 was rung up at the same cash register as the first transaction in 1928 after 89 years of family business. For those that had breakfast there, you know in 1989, there was a whole lot of angels being created because there was a whole lot of buttons being pushed as opposed to way back in the 1920s to get those prices up to $10. And he was just loved by everyone that visited him. So let's take a moment to remember Joyce Buckles' house. Joan Boylan and Joseph Imbriaco will let us pass our thoughts on to the families and friends they leave behind. Thank you. A motion for the minutes of executive minutes of February 12, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Already discussed, all in favor?
Aye.
And a motion for the regular minutes of February 12, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
I did send a minor correction to Liz. The second proclamation that was listed was the incorrect one, so the final minutes will have the correct one. Any other corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, welcome all. A couple things in the last couple of weeks. Lead Mars, formerly known as Leadership Mars, of which I was a 2003 graduate, came to Hartley Dodge Memorial for the local government day this past Thursday. And after giving them an overview of Madison, they toured the building with Ray Cody and Liz Osborne stepping in as excellent tour guides. They were, of course, very impressed by our beautiful building, but also afterwards shared how impressed they were with our staff, the friendliness and the fact that people really seem to enjoy working in this building, and all the staff stepped forward to explain their departments. They left with not only an understanding of local government at the municipal level, but also what a well-run town looks like. So they had a very productive day. And then yesterday I joined members of the Girl Scout troops 5083, 6272, and 6273 for a ribbon cutting for a bench they donated, and that was placed in the park area next to the Museum of Early Trades and Crafts. The bench came from the Bottle Caps to Benches project, an outcome of the work they did on World Thinking Day 2023. They collected over 200 pounds of caps from various locations, including this building, the Y, the museum, and other locations. And after a quick little research online, I found out that it's basically 250 caps per pound, so over 50,000 plastic caps were taken out of the stream and out of landfills and turned into a beautiful bench. A very impressive project, and I thank the Girl Scouts for doing that. And if you're walking through town and need a little rest, stop right there. You'll see a nice green bench to sit on. And one other thing, in our recognition last meeting for Bob Coltis, there's two things I neglected to mention in his proclamation of my comments. And as we have the Library Board of Trustees here, we forgot to mention his long-time service to the Library Board of Trustees. That was one of his passions to support. And in the proclamation, I noted that Bob and Kathy are a caring couple, and as such, they are the first couple to be both recognized as Mayor Legacy Heroes. So they are amazing people. And lastly, I would like to welcome a special guest. We have our state Assemblyman, Christian Bronco, coming to say hello and introduce himself. And Assemblyman,
thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank the council members. Just for a moment, we had a redistricting last year, and the redrawing of districts has put Madison. I live in Jefferson Township, and it has put Madison in our district. And to be very honest with you, it is an honor for me to represent such a beautiful and historic borough such as Madison. You guys live in a beautiful place, and I'm here primarily to just let you all know that I'm available to the town. I'm available to everyone. I'm a firm believer in the old model of the citizen legislator. I've kind of developed a bit of a reputation as a hardworking candidate. I'm out and about to see everyone, and I've sort of kind of carried that over into a hardworking legislator. Trenton is a tough place. It's a place where you got to have very thick skin and be able to make your arguments as concise and heartfelt as possible. I'm here for every single one of the residents of Madison Township, and I just wanted to let you guys know that my staff is always waiting and ready to deal with whatever you guys need handled in Trenton. And I just thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you very much for your coming by, and come back again, and I'm sure I'll be reaching out. My two things right now is True Forest. That's good. All right, now we move on to reports from committees. Public Safety, Council President Range.
Thank you, Mayor. During the week of February 19th, all department officers is from the police department. All department officers were trained in defensive tactics for police officers, which is a training course that is now mandated by the Police Training Commission as part of the police licensing guidelines. Officers trained for 4 hours, and training included a focus on officer survival and de-escalation tactics. On February 27th, members of the department will take part in coffee shop at Madison High School, which is run by their special services students. The student resource officer has been inviting weekly guests to meet and greet with those great special services students. On March 15th, Madison officers will be taking part in Law Enforcement Night at Menon Arena. This detail runs from 7 to 9 p.m. and is open to the public. It is always a great night, and visiting police departments are present to tell the public about their department and about themselves. And a note tonight on one of our new police officers who is currently in week 7 at the Police Academy. TJ Meter has been selected as squad leader for within his academy class. This position is a mid-level leadership position where TJ leads his squad similar to that of a sergeant within the police department. So congratulations to TJ, and we look forward to him wrapping up the academy in June. And from the fire department tonight, so far this month, for the month of February, the fire department has responded to 17 general alarms, 21 still alarms, 25 investigations, 42 medical calls, and that's a total of 105 calls so far this month. Also, Chief wanted to share tonight, over the last several months, the fire department has been working hard in updating hardware and replacing older equipment with that which is a little more environmentally friendly. Recently, we've replaced all of our gasoline generator-powered hydraulic rescue tools with battery-operated units, replaced approximately 85% of the lighting at fire headquarters with LED bulbs and updated fixtures, replaced 6 gasoline-powered ventilation fans with a combination of electric plug-in fans or battery-powered units, replaced 2 gasoline-powered chainsaws with battery-powered equivalents, replaced 2 gasoline-powered rotary saws with battery-powered saws, so that's 4 total there. Replaced 2 gasoline generators that powered scene lights with battery light alternatives. Added 14 battery-powered tools to replace electric tools that ran off the electricity from the apparatus generators. Replaced warning lights and scene lights on apparatus to LED bulbs to improve efficiency and reduce the waste from incandescent bulbs. Applied window tint in the day room and office windows at headquarters to reduce cooling costs in the summer months. And just to note that the new engine 3 that we got last year does comply with the new EPA clean diesel standards. So that's just a little of the highlight of some of the things that the fire department's been doing to make Madison a little greener these days. That's all tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Finance Borough Clerk, Ms. Ehrlich.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, we'll have our 5th hearing on the budget. We have previously discussed capital, public works, the electric utility, the water utility, and the fire department and their new emergency medical services. At our last meeting, we had our first look at the municipal budget, and tonight the council and public will hear from some of our department heads. The police department, construction department, library, and engineering will be talking about their goals, objectives, and capital needs for the year. 2 weeks from tonight, on March 11th, we will have another budget hearing along with a review of our financial strategic planning guidelines. And if all goes well, we hope to introduce the official state budget document on March 25th. Later this evening, the council will be asked to approve the bill list, which includes over $7.6 million in payments to various vendors and entities. This is an unusually large bill list due to 3 significant payments. The first is a $2.7 million payment to the county for their first quarter taxes, along with an additional $69,545 for the county open space assessment. The bill list also includes a payment to the Board of Education for $3,941,111 for their monthly share of property taxes, and it also includes a payment of $467,887 made for the renovation work at the library. The tax collector reports that the tax quarter closed earlier this month and the delinquent notices went out 2 weeks ago. Residents that took advantage of the state of New Jersey Senior Freeze program last year should have received their paperwork for this year, and residents interested in the program are required to meet certain income and age criteria. The tax office expects to have the forms available in the next few weeks. Residents interested in learning more can visit the Tax Relief Programs page on rosenet.org. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Works and Engineering, Mr. Landrigan.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, from Public Works, following the last snowstorms, since the last meeting rather, mechanical staff is doing post-storm preventive maintenance and repairs on snowplows and salting equipment. In regards to sewer jetting, it is continuing with the locations reported on social media and the borough website. The roads department is patching more potholes, and finally the sewer department again responded to more issues at Lorraine Road pump station, and they're asking residents to remember not to flush wipes, floss, and other hygiene products down the toilet. From engineering, a few current projects: Well B facility improvements. The contract with VNL LLC construction is progressing on schedule for May restart to meet the summer demand. Other improvements to the building to be completed in the summer. McDonald and Jam Architects will be reviewing submittals and progress payments. Utility building roof contract with Joseph Doherty. That construction is commencing within the next few weeks. Helena Ruman Architects will be reviewing submittals and progress payments. The MRC multi-purpose courts pickleball contractor Helicon work has been completed. Erosion along the path needs to be addressed. The Memorial Park Trails Phase 1 contract with Clark Moynihan work is completed. Reimbursement from the county to be submitted. Grant application for Phase 3 has been submitted and approved by Morris County. Scheduling to be coordinated with hazardous tree removal. The library interior contract with Daskell is reviewing. Daskell is reviewing submittals and invoicing. Library staff has relocated to a temporary trailer. Interior demolition commenced on or about November 13th. The work is progressing well. The Museum of Early Trades, a contract with O'Hara Construction started November 22nd with historic building architects reviewing submittals and invoicing. Project nearing completion. Upcoming projects: Millen Overlay for 2024 will be done on Knollwood, Longview, and Valley Road, and that's going to be summer construction. The Cook Avenue parking lot plans have been revised to reduce scope and cost. Project has been advertised for rebid. Bids are due March 28th. And finally, the Dodge Field Playground, a grant application has been submitted to Green Acres. Grant would cover 75% of the construction costs. Okay, and then from the Madison Environmental Commission. Since today marks the start of the National Invasive Species Awareness Week, the MSC would like to draw residents' attention to common invasive plants that are for sale in new nurseries and should not be purchased. Even though these species might be polite in your yard, birds spread their seeds and habitats such as the Drew Forest are disrupted. Asian varieties of wisteria have been a particular problem in the forest. Barberry shrubs harbor 10 times more ticks than other shrubs. The Bradford pear tree, also called calorie pears, are being banned in many states due to the negative effects on the forests. Main Street has been Main Street's aging pear trees that are in the process of being replaced with natives. And then finally, and this is, if you recall, last meeting we had a meeting of the green infrastructure. Many dedicated volunteers braved the snowy weather to attend Dr. Christopher Obata's training presentation on the green infrastructure training from Madison on February 17th. The audience was filled with community leaders, including members of the Environmental Commission, Open Space Committee, Planning and Zoning Boards, as well as the Madison Rotary and Garden Club. Madison's state-of-the-art training room in the safety complex provided ample room for the 24 participants. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Utilities, Mr. Howland Putis.
Okay, thanks, Mayor. Hello, everybody. From the Water Department, on February 14th, the contractor, National Metering Services, began changing out water meters throughout the town with the hope of getting our entire water metering system online by the end of the year. All meters and radio equipment are on hand. The contractor is signed and hired, and the next and final hurdle is to schedule and actually change the meters. It's a big task. There's roughly 4,000 water meters that need to be replaced. Of those, NMS, National Metering Services, has been given a list of 1,100 to start so that we can change meters without interfering with our billing schedule. The borough has reached out to those 1,100 customers via mail and email, and NMS also sent letters with appointment making instructions specific to each customer's account information. As of this date, there have been about 100 completed meter changes and 158 additional appointments scheduled. More to come on that. The Water Department continues to work at Well B, which is over by John Street. Even though it's been a little bit slower paced than they'd like to see, there's been some challenges. They have done 2 curb stops. They were excavated and repaired. I don't know what that is, but curb stops. D Well had regular maintenance completed and distribution piping repainted. Our fire hydrant at 62 Shumpike Road was replaced with a new style Muller hydrant in continuation of our hydrant updating program. Crew assisted with monthly samples for water quality testing, which the borough does regularly. And the Water Department has also assisted with salting and snow plowing during the last few snowstorms. From the Electric Department, the department has also been working at Well B, performing the electric upgrades consisting of installing new underground primary wire service feed. They're installing a pole and construction hardware. They're setting a new 150 kilowatt pad mount transformer and disconnecting the old primary feed for demo of old existing transformers, taking out the old wire hardware, and getting ready for the contractor to install new secondary switchgear. The crews in town set a new pole on Danford Road and transferred WE1 circuit, secondary cable, and all other hardware to the new pole. They're doing line clearance inspection now for this year's tree trimming and maintenance, which is important around the borough. There's a lot of trees that are starting to encroach on our wires that run from our utility poles. The department foreman met with contractors on site at 4 locations to discuss new high voltage line construction and upgrades and installations. One is a Community Place in Walnut Street project where our affordable housing is going to be. The Madison Honda, which is next to the Madison Mall Apartments right on Main Street, and 15 Prospect, which is the old Weichert Homes that's going to be converted into a new building that Weichert is building over there. They're discussing pole layout for a police department camera project. Crews have been practicing pole climbing skills at the water light yard, as well as high voltage termination work. Not something I would want to do. Pole climbers. Crews responded to several outages. One was at the Verizon building on Main Street on February 12th for a bad underground primary cable. They replaced a bad pole top transformer at 135 Main Street on Tuesday, February 20th, and responded to several residential partial power outage calls. The department also continues to work on daily substation inspections, new service installs, streetlight repairs, markouts, tree limbs on lines, down lines, submitting new markouts for pole line upgraded, new construction, and other residential customer concerns. So needless to say, they are very busy every day, and we appreciate all the work they do. The last report is an update on the MRC carport project, the solar carport project. I don't know if any of you saw in the Madison Eagle that we officially notified the community that we're going out to bid. Back in December, the council received an update on the MRC solar carport project, and I'm happy to report that the big documents now have been issued, with the bid opening scheduled for March 28th. And if all goes well, then council will award a contract in April, with work hopefully commencing over the summer. The winning contractor is required to work in stages so we can hopefully keep a portion of the MRC parking lot open at all times. We're going to try and start the project when the spring sports end in June. The carport will generate enough solar energy to power approximately 75 homes in Madison. There'll be no tree trimming needed for the project, and the carport will generate some much needed shade for those parking at the MRC. The project is estimated to cost about $2 million, with most of the cost coming from state incentives and federal rebates. If all goes well, we'll be looking to build additional solar installations on other municipal properties. We want to give a special thanks to Peter Freed and the other volunteers that advocated for this project and helped us to get this far. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And Community Affairs, and also if you have health.
Yes.
Ms.
Thank you, Mayor. The next DDC, Downtown Development Commission meeting will be on Thursday, March 21st at 7:15. It's open to the public. The Madison Farm and Artisan Market in 2024 will be on Saturdays from May 25th through December 14th in the Prospect Street parking lot. The Taste of Madison is coming on March 18th at the Madison Hotel. Tickets are available at two different price points, $85 and a VIP ticket at $125. The Madison Green and Clean Day will be on Saturday, April 27th from 9 to 2, and the rain date is the 28th of April. From the Community Arts Center, March 1st through 31st, the Roseum Gallery will feature multicolored viewpoints, the multimedia work of Katie Truck. She has recently been chosen as an artist in residence with studio space at Grounds for Sculpture in Hamilton, New Jersey. The Madison Community Arts Center, in partnership with the Summit Film Society, has been a success, and on Friday, March 1st, there will be a showing of The Taste of Things at 3 and 7:30, and then on March 9th, the documentary Navalny. March 3rd at 3, the New Jersey Jazz Society will feature Lucy Winans, and all of the calendar information can be found on the Madison Community Arts Center website. From the Department of Health, flu activity continues to be high. Residents should stay home when they are sick and wash their hands frequently. COVID levels remain at low levels for Morris County. Free COVID test kits are available in Town Hall and in the Health Department for residents. And our Health Department is hosting a COVID clinic for individuals 12 and over at the Westfield office on Thursday, February 29th from 4 to 6. There is a flyer available for more information. We'll distribute that. And it's not too late for dog and cat owners to license their pets. Pet licensing is ongoing through the end of February. Information can be found online, and there is a monthly newsletter that's been distributed by the Health Department, and that will be available online as well.
Very much. Move on to communications and petitions.
None received, Mayor.
All right, now we move on to our first of two invitations for public comment. This one is limited to items that are on our agenda discussions or our resolutions that are part of the consent agenda. If you wish to comment on these, you step up to the lectern, state your name and address and the agenda item or resolution you're addressing. If you want to speak on any other topic, that will come up later on in the meeting. And these are the resolutions, or actually the two items on agenda discussions, our community energy plan and also our 2024 municipal budget hearing, department head presentations. And these are the resolutions you may comment on, and for those that are watching at home, these will be part of the consent agenda. Resolution 92 is approving promotion of John Cerruti to position of truck driver 1 in the Public Works Department, retroactive January 12th, at salary of $48,860. Resolution 93 is adopting the Community Energy Plan, CEP, as part of the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities CEP grant program. You're about to hear about that. Resolution 94 is authorizing use of $16,750 from Open Space Recreation Historic Preservation Trust funds to acquire furniture and fixtures at the Masonic Lodge. And this includes historic Cuban mahogany benches and historic chandeliers. And then Resolution 95 is authorizing special event permit to allow use of Livesey Park by Mr. Peter Livesey. Makes sense, July 19th, 2024. Resolution 96 is authorizing use of up to $1,000 plus shipping for the purchase of weevils to combat invasive species at the Madison Recreation Center. And this is funded through Ordinance 21-2019. And Resolution 97 is appointing part-time per diem emergency medical technician to the Madison Fire Department, and this is for Bronte, Dakota. Resolution 98 is accepting the irrevocable retirement of electric utility Chief Lyman Joel Phillips, effective May 1st, 2024. It's just like yesterday, I was playing softball against him. Resolution 99 is authorizing license application submitted by Tori J. Sabatini, PTO, on March 22nd. Resolution 100 is adopting revised deferred compensation program with Lincoln National Life Insurance Company and Lincoln Financial Group. Resolution 101 is approving raffle license for the Friends of Madison Public Library for May 4th, 2024. And Resolution 102 is approving a person-to-person transfer of plenary retail consumption license from Madison Market LLC to Hartley Restaurant LLC. It is not moving location, just from one LLC to another. Anyone wishing to comment on those resolutions or the two agenda items may step up now. Oh, yes, take care. Thanks for coming by. Yep. You can watch the rest at home. Seeing none, I close this part of the meeting. And we now move on to our agenda discussions. Rachel.
Good evening, everyone. I'm back to talk about climate action, as I often do. Tonight's presentation should look quite familiar to you all. As we discussed in December, the Climate Action Committee has essentially reformatted our climate action recommendations from 2023 and 2024 into what the BPU calls a community energy plan. And I'm going to describe the benefits of this plan and adopting it, and tell you a little bit about what's in it, but this should be quite familiar information because these are the same recommendations we've discussed last year. Next slide. So as I mentioned in December, we participated in the BPU's Community Energy Plan program. The purpose of this is to help communities do basically what Madison did on our own before we adopted this template, to create a plan for low-cost renewable energy in their communities. We, as I mentioned, repurposed the recommendations from 2023 and 2024 using the Sustainable Jersey template that was put forth by the BPU. And once we adopt this Community Energy Plan, or CEP, we have an opportunity to apply for grants to implement the initiatives that are highlighted in the CEP. So this is the first step in being able to apply to the BPU to take the next step and pursue funding for some of these great initiatives. Next slide. Another reason to participate in the CEP program was that we received a $10,000 grant to help us do some planning. And Madison, is uniquely positioned with our own electric utility. We proposed in December to use this planning grant to think about how we can modernize the documentation of our electricity grid. And so the study, which was commissioned with this grant and was prepared by the borough's electric engineering consultant, Asplin Engineering Services, is now appended to the CEP. It's a nice plan that kind of lays out the benefits of mapping our grid and talks about the phases for that process. We'll talk about that at the end of this presentation. So these initiatives, just like Madison's climate action process, are based on the 7 strategies of the New Jersey Energy Master Plan, Pathway to 2050. This is a state energy master plan to help reach the goals of reducing our carbon pollution by 80% by 2050. As you all know from last year, Madison extrapolated the state goals to create local level goals for Madison, and then developed recommendations for how we can reach those goals over the long time frame, and then some shorter timeline metrics that we can use to calculate our progress. And then Madison's Community Energy Plan is a little bit more ambitious than the BPU's template because we also include resiliency, that is adaptation to climate impacts, in our Community Energy Plan. We had done so in our previous climate action process and recommendations, and we wanted to go the extra mile and include adaptation and resiliency in our CEP as well. And so the 2 things that we can do in our plan that other municipalities can't are talk about modernizing the grid. Most towns don't have the opportunity to work on their grid because they are customers of investor-owned utilities. And again, because we think adaptation to protect the health of our community, our environment, and our town's prosperity and financial position, we know resiliency is important, and so we've included that as well. So these strategies, as I mentioned, are based on the New Jersey State Energy Master Plan. So the initiatives are organized by strategy. These should look familiar to you all. We have proposed to purchase alternative fuel vehicles, which are plug-in electric vehicles. And Madison, for a couple of years now, has pursued a public campaign to increase adoption of privately owned public plug-in electric vehicles through our EV Expo and other programming in town. The initiatives are described in the CEP in terms of who will take the lead, any perceived obstacles or barriers to the initiative, what funding sources would be identified, if any, and community notes and next steps. So in the CEP report, you can read for each of these initiatives a kind of a work plan for how to pursue each one. Next slide. Strategy 2, accelerate deployment of renewable energy and distributed energy resources. Madison is really ambitious in this category, and so we had a number of recommendations and initiatives for renewables. The 4 that we selected for the CEP are here. As you know, as Councilmember Harold Laputis mentioned tonight, we are pursuing the first stage of developing a municipal solar installation with our work at the MRC. We want to continue to work on how we can prioritize purchasing renewable energy or zero carbon energy for the purchased electricity that we buy from JCP&L and then distribute to our Madison customers. We want to increase adoption of solar by homeowners and on private buildings by pursuing recommendations from the DOE's Soul Smart review of our process for permitting. And we want to continue to support solar on school and commercial properties by promoting available programs and reaching out to the BOE, which we have started to do. Strategy 3 is maximizing energy efficiency. I know the mayor likes to say that the cheapest dollar we spend on energy is the dollar we don't spend at all. Is that something you say? I think it is.
Sure, yeah, it sounds like that.
Okay. So a big part of that is updating energy efficiency for municipal facilities, including this building, and the other 5 or 4 major buildings in the borough's portfolio. That would include, for instance, weatherization at the DPW garage, the window replacement that's going on there. And we have been working on implementing a residential energy efficiency outreach campaign. A big part of that is the Seal Power home energy audits that the borough has partnered with Seal Power to provide at a low cost to residents, $49 to get your home energy audit. Next slide. Strategy 4, reduce energy consumption and emissions from the building sector, is similar to 3, but it specifically focuses on both municipal buildings and constructing them as model green buildings, as in the example of our Walnut Street and Community Place affordable housing project pictured on the left. And we created a new initiative 4.5 that's not in the CEP template, but we think it's so important to focus on replacing gas burning equipment in municipal buildings. We have talked a little bit about the East Wing renovation and some possible HVAC systems that could be provided there. We're looking at the aging boiler in the DPW garage. There's a lot of ways that we can modernize our equipment, make them healthier and more efficient. Next slide. Strategy 5 is unique to Madison because unlike most towns completing this plan, we have our own electric grid and utility. Strategy 5.1 really pertains to the report that we commissioned, the idea of planning for grid improvements by analyzing our grid and knowing what we have so that we can make sure we maintain a high level of reliability and service for our customers. We want to track reliability and make sure that as demand grows on the grid and we add more renewables and potentially double our electricity consumption by 2050, we want to make sure we're not dipping down at all in our service and reliability to our customers by tracking. Demand side management to balance supply and demand. One way to think about that is the time of use rates that have been discussed in the pilot program that we are looking at this year for volunteers to participate in. And virtual net metering to support community solar is a way of allowing residents, including renters that can't install their own residential solar, to participate in a community solar project with solar panels located on a large building such as a community facility or a commercial property. Strategy 6 is about being inclusive and making sure that all residents are included in community energy planning, and making sure that we can work with existing community serving institutions to make sure that our message about upgrades, benefits, and opportunities to take advantage of these programs are reaching less served members of the community, and we are not excluding anyone because they are not aware of the programs, or we don't make an extra effort to reach out and make sure that information is available to everyone. And strategy 8 is our unique resiliency strategy. All 3 of these are intended to protect the built and the natural environment in Madison by managing stormwater better, incorporating green infrastructure into our complete streets policy. We want to explore adopting a water conservation ordinance that will take the next step and encourage especially our highest users of water to conserve water. And to complete a community equity and diversity profile, which the first step was taken last summer, and I know members of Sustainable Madison reported on that to this body in July of 2023. There's some additional implementation that'll come next, so like this item 8.3 and several others, we're already pursuing these, and we're beyond the planning phase and into initiating next steps. So this is a little bit retrospective because we're forging ahead on all of these, as you know from last year. But by documenting them in the CEP, we can take credit for that work and, as I said, pursue grant opportunities. Next slide. This is the electrical grid mapping study that we spoke about in December. I snapshotted the table of contents here, but I'll just mention that this is a great report that, as it says here, describes the objectives and the benefits of this GIS implementation, what information we hope to get from it, and what new things our utility will be able to do once we know more about the connections from our transformers to our individual customer accounts or meters. And it includes a plan for implementation, breaking it down into the data gathering phase, where we'll establish a GIS framework, which is the type of software we'll use to capture it, and then do that mapping, develop a customer tie database that refers to linking the customer meters to the transformers. Once we have the data in place, there'll be this digitization phase where we transform it into a simulation or a digital model of our grid, so we can test and see where we need to strengthen the grid, where we're adding EV chargers, how can we more quickly understand the impacts of adding solar and larger loads across the grid. And then finally, once that database is complete, we'll use it to study and maintain the grid, so it becomes a working tool that can rapidly be updated for any changes and help us predict needs as lead times for equipment grow. So the next steps, tonight we have Resolution 93 to adopt this CEP. We'll package up the plan and the resolution and send it off to the BPU, and then that will allow us to pursue these implementation grants. The BPU in the fall authorized the program to fund a first round of implementation. The grants are for up to $250,000 each, so not chump change. And we're looking forward to coming back to council in the next couple months and proposing a couple of priority initiatives from the CEP that we think are really viable candidates for grant opportunities from the BPU.
Very good.
Questions?
Very thorough. Any questions or comments? Bob?
Yeah, I just have a couple of comments. One, that I think this is a wonderful plan that you've put together here. Because I was making some notes, and what's really remarkable about it, and I wish other government agencies had done this, is it doesn't mandate, it suggests. You know, I think it recognizes that not everybody can afford to do certain things right now, but the home energy audits are going to be a way of showing people, wait a minute, it may cost you a little bit more, but you're going to save more in the long run. I also appreciate the fact that you're monitoring the grid, because one of the big concerns is if everybody went electric right now, how could the grid support it? Well, you're doing that right now. One question I do have, though, is in a larger apartment complex where an individual may want an electric car, but there's no place to charge it. Like where I live, they've put chargers within the complex. So if you're a resident there, you can just go in. What about other apartment buildings in town? Is there any incentive or any thought about, okay, yeah, you have a parking lot, but you really need some chargers there. Any way to incentivize them to maybe do that?
So the what are called investor-owned utilities administer a program in the state to help landlords and operators and owners of multifamily properties to install chargers. But because we don't pay into investor-owned utility with what's called the societal benefits charge, Madison, up until recently, was not eligible to participate in this program. One of the things the Climate Action Committee did was petition the BPU last summer to say, hey, don't leave Madison behind. We're eager to take part in this energy transition. Can you help us by setting aside some money that would allow us to participate equitably with the other electric utilities? And in this budget year, the BPU did create a program to do exactly what you're describing, which is to help subsidize the cost of property owners who want to install EV chargers at multifamily properties. So I don't think anyone in town has pursued that program. I think maybe what we could do is get the details and find out how to publish it in town so that property owners here that operate apartments know what's available to them.
Yeah, and the reason this is kind of close to my heart is I have very close friends that live in Brooklyn, and they live in a large apartment complex, and they come out here and they say, boy, we see electric charging spots on this main street, we would love to get an electric car, but I live in a 17-story apartment complex. There's no place to charge my car. So he's going to be forced to stay with a gas-powered car, which all the people there would use. And that's where your biggest, let's face it, that's where most of your pollution is going to come from. You know, these larger cities, and I'm not only talking about Brooklyn, you're talking about, let's say, like Jersey City, places like that. Larger apartment complexes where people may want a car, but they just can't charge it.
I think we could reach out to the BPU and have them prepare a summary for us that we could distribute in town.
I'll be glad to work with you on that. Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Good. Any other questions? Tom? Microphone? Solar powered.
Solar powered, yeah. The blue light is LED too, is very efficient. Thanks, Rachel. As usual, very comprehensive report. It's amazing that you guys are so capable to put all this together. And you have it all memorized. Unless there was a teleprompter somewhere that you were reading off of.
We're really familiar with this material by now.
Yeah.
We've been working on it for like 2 years.
I know,
So
I know, thank you.
it's-
You and Peter. Thanks.
ingrained.
Thanks, Peter. So, a couple of questions. So now that the Board of Ed is gonna have this massive capital reconstruction project that I know some of our construction officials are gonna participate with too, are we gonna ask them to have the architect start talking to you, Peter, whoever is gonna really guide them so that we're sure they're doing as much as they can, because the energy they consume is still a cost to all the residents, and it's gonna be hopefully less, and we know we're gonna sell them green electricity and they're gonna put solar hopefully on their roofs. I know we haven't gone that extensively yet to push them on that.
Yeah. Last year that we got signals from the Board of Ed that they were more inclined or open to do a carport type construction, which would, be a separate project than the capital work on the buildings. And we have made presentations to them about how you can do a PPA, a power purchase agreement, that would, there's over 800 schools in New Jersey that have solar panels, and the reason they do it is not, it's to save money, right?
Yeah.
This is like a win-win. There is a new representative to Sustainable Madison on the Board of Ed who is really keen to see how the existing referendum can incorporate some forward thinking along those lines. So I do think the Board of Ed is working hard to rapidly deliver on the referendum, scope now that it's been adopted, and so they certainly have their hands full. But we've gotten some good signs that they're open to making sure that the choices they make that are going to be part of the capital plan for decades to come are efficient choices. So we'll keep pursuing that.
Okay, I would like to see Madison on our side, the borough, since we've already gone through the process and learned everything that we pretty much need to know to move forward. We have this very competent consulting group. We need to actually get the Board of Ed to step up and use them.
Yep.
And if we have to help them, I think it makes sense because we're saving money for the whole community at the end of the day.
Talva has done some studies for them,
Good.
which have been shared with the Board of Ed to say,
Yeah.
what's holding you back?
Right.
And I know that they certainly have their hands full right now,
Oh, yeah.
but we'll be, persistent and hopefully find a willing partner there.
Okay, okay. And one other suggestion I have, with the energy audits that we're doing to, reach out to the community and let them know they have it. We do have a program with our electric utility where if you make a certain income or less, you get a rebate. So maybe those people would qualify for the energy audit and we would subsidize it.
That's a great idea.
If we could do that.
Yeah.
I don't know how many homes will qualify, but at the end of the day, that's our goal, is to
Yeah.
get it in everybody's home. That's why we built this new state-of-the-art, energy efficient, affordable housing development on Walnut for the same reason. So it's just a suggestion to think about.
That's a great idea for outreach.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Any other comments? Great.
Okay,
Great job. So this is
everyone.
resolution 93 that's listed on the consent to confirm. Now we move on to our budget hearing, department heads presentations. Jim, okay.
Let's just jump right in and start with the presentation.
All right.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you for the time to provide you with some of the highlights of the building department's 2023 accomplishments and share some of the 2024. Going to who do that? All right, that's all right. 2024 projects and goals. As you can see, this slide, she gives the numbers of last year versus the year before. They're very similar, with the most notable exception is the increase in inspections. Some of the larger jobs take more attention and more time. One item I would like to note is the increased use of the portal. That affords us a little bit more time for the staff and the residents. They can schedule their inspections at off hours, frees up staff to handle permitting and COs and things that take a little bit more time. God bless. Next slide, please. Here's a summary of some of the accomplishments of 2023. Most of you are probably most of them. As you can see, the number of COs that are required out of last year's permitting was 110. And like I said, there's a fair amount of time that goes into creating these documents. Make sure they're correct and legal. Next slide, please. So looking forward to 2024, one of the items I'm proud to say that we've completed is the Ivy. That's that building there. That was a 245-unit apartment building over in Chatham. The fact that this is done kind of clears up things for Madison's. We know we've got a fair amount coming down. Councilman Harold Lamputis pointed out quite a few of them, the apartments, the Walnut Street projects. So we've got that to look forward to this year. Operating budgets, same as the year before. Managed to, we continue to operate under the costs of the permits that we bring in, so we're still running in the black. We've also been able to allocate some funds towards the state mandated electronic plan review that'll be coming down the pipe any year now. That's been on the paper, it's been on the books for about 2 years, but that'll free up, it should clean up some of the paperwork, increase plan review time, reduce paper, less storage. All positives there. That really sums it up for the building department. Not too exciting. See that?
Thanks, Roz. I just want to highlight again the great work of getting the SDL portal rocking and rolling for our residents. I think the use of technology to reduce friction there, and as you pointed out, free up time, is something that many units within the borough could take a page out of. So I appreciate you doing that, and I think last year I made a similar comment saying I'm really excited that you guys are doing it. So I'm really excited that it came to fruition, and I'm, as a member of the planning board, even more excited to see the electronic file review and plan review, and being able to get some of that out of the paper and the massive, sheets that we're all trying to go through.
Looking forward to it.
So that's great. So thanks for being an advocate and embracing kind of those new technologies.
Thank you. And as you can see, the public is enjoying it too, right? I mean, that's a significant increase in usage.
Microphone?
Yeah.
Just gonna leave it on.
There you go.
Say the inappropriate, sorry. So the Ivy took a lot of your department's time. Was it only Madison that supervised the construction and signed off of the Ivy?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So you and Mick? And
You're Mick and the rest of the gang. It's
wow.
It's a huge undertaking. There's a lot of that you don't see on the administrative side. Ladies handle a lot of phone calls, a lot of questions about scheduling.
Sure. How many people work in the department there, Russ?
I believe there's 9.
9 people now? Four in the field and 5 in the office?
5 in the field.
5. And now the big projects for this year are like the Madison Mall?
Madison, we're looking at the Madison Mall. We're looking at Walnut Street. The mosque is under construction. There's quite a bit. I was supposed to have a meeting with the Weicker project.
Okay, yep. I saw that there's already meetings between the electric utility.
Yeah.
So there's some complicated things that come in. It's great. Thanks, Russ.
Rachel?
I just have a technical question. I'm wondering what triggers the requirement for obtaining a certificate of occupancy?
I'm sorry.
What triggers it? What is the requirement for obtaining a certificate of occupancy?
Whenever you create new space, an addition, a new house.
So anytime you add floor area, you have to get a C of O that reflects not obviously just the new space, but the scope of the entire building.
That's
So
correct.
all of the projects you listed there, including, you know, garages and stuff like that, triggered the C of O requirement.
That's correct. And we're working with a number of different departments as well. We work very closely with engineering and zoning. All that is part of the CO.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you. Great job.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Russ. And I understand this was your day off? This is how you wrapped up your day off? Well, thank you for coming in. Sure. Chief.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank the governing body and the Borough Administration for allowing me to present this budget tonight, and give you a quick overview of the police department as well. As you'll see, our table of organization, this shows the line of authority from the chief down. The department size has stayed consistent with past years. We have a couple new additions this year that filled vacancies. If you see on the bottom, we have both officers, Meter and Rendon, that are currently in the police academy, and Patrolman Lake, he's on Patrol Squad D. He's in field training. And we actually just hired a dispatcher to fill a vacancy. It actually started last week, so he's currently in training right now. So we are at full staff. Next slide. Annual statistics. A couple of a note. I know we're pressed for time. I'll highlight several. If you see on the second one down, arrests are up 30%, and again, that stems mostly from motor vehicle stops, officers being proactive on the street in the neighborhoods, and a lot of cases actually, which I'll touch on a little bit later, from stolen motor vehicle cases that we solved and attempted car thefts. Next slide. So again, I just touched on it. You'll see motor vehicle thefts and burglary to motor vehicles are both down 30%. Actually, Morris County is the only county in the state that showed a decrease of 28% of motor vehicle theft. So I think we're definitely, as a county and Madison, doing our part in combating and working on the auto theft and issue. Next slide. Couple of note, you'll see overtime. Overtime's up a tad bit. On the bottom, we had several vacancies that obviously we had to cover with overtime. We have an officer who's currently on military leave and is deployed out overseas, and we had several officers that were out on leave because of additions to their families' births. So that drove up the overtime a bit. Next slide. Several goals. I have a lot here, but we tend to do our part and tackle a lot each year. Several to note is to continue to bolster our school security by adding to the school resource officer unit. We have one spot that we'll be hopefully advertising for shortly, which is fully funded by the Board of Ed. We are in the process of restarting our crime prevention unit, where officers are going to be trained to provide home security inspections and burglar alarm assessments, and that really is a response to the residential burglary epidemic, motor vehicle theft epidemic that we've been seeing. So, we found a need to start up that unit again. Continuing to grow our ALPR program. We are, several years ago, we saw the issue of motor vehicle theft really coming to our area. We started a ALPR program, went countywide. It was spearheaded here in Madison. I think you've heard me talk about it in the past. but continue to add to additional sites in town. And again, it's become an invaluable tool to combat this auto theft that we're seeing statewide. I didn't note it on, I don't think I noted on here, but we have 2 hybrid patrol vehicles that we're looking to get take reception of, so those are on order right now. And I was just talking to Mr. Freed about it, but hopefully getting a grant to place a solar carport behind headquarters. So, and again, hopefully that will be funded by the BPU grant. Department-wide training. Our department takes part in increased training year in and year out. One notable training class that I had all officers take, and in the process of taking, is the mental health, special needs, and de-escalation training. As I'll speak with a little bit further, we're adopting a mental health program to have, it's called the Arrive program, to have a social worker arrive on these calls with our officers. So, you know, the more training that we'll get to handle these calls will assist us, you know, day in and day out. Community outreach, as everyone here knows, we're pretty visible in the community. Each year we focus on strengthening our partnership with the community. National Night Out is probably our biggest event, and Dunk a Cop at Bottle Hill Day, everyone seems to like that. So we put the new guys in the dunk tank, though. I'm not going in. But so as you see, we have a lot of stuff that we continuously do. The newest one actually is basketball at the Y. Something as simple as our officers just playing basketball with on a Friday night with just kids from town. So just to build that relationship, to humanize us. 2023 accomplishments. Up on the top, we successfully passed the department reaccreditation. As I mentioned before, we're implementing the Arrive program, and I'll just touch on it real quick. I know it's been mentioned many times, but this is several years in the making. What Arrive stands for is alternate responses to reduce instances of violence and escalation. And again, as I said, it just pairs police officers responding on crisis calls with a mental health professional. And again, this program is fully funded by the Department of Human Services. We'll have a social worker in-house at the police department on a rotating basis. We share it with 3 other towns, Morristown, Morris Township, and Morris Plains. And it's really cutting-edge stuff. We're one of the first in the county to do this, and we go live with it on Monday. So again, it's really big for us, for the town. I appreciate the support that the governing body and the administration has given us with this program, and along with my officers who are fully supportive of this program. And I think it's really going to help the residents in town and be noticeable. Next slide. These are our budget accounts. Just lists all the different ones that we work out of. And then last one is capital. Our focus is to continue to upgrade the cameras and the security features within the department and around town. That's slated for this year, and also technology upgrades, which include recording and video equipment in our interview rooms in the 1st and 2nd floor, and those were original for when we moved in the building. So those are, we found a need to upgrade them, obviously. I think that's all I have.
Very good. So, okay, we'll go to
First,
Bob and then Eric.
Okay, first I want to commend you on that Arrive program. Having responded with your officers when I was on the squad to several of them, those are the most challenging, if not the most challenging type of a medical call, say, that you could go on.
Yeah.
So that is wonderful. But what I've noticed of late is the way people drive. Much more aggressive, You know, the minute a light turns, they're on the horn. You go in a parking lot that, you know, they'll say it like this, they drive like maniacs. And Madison was never like that. Does your department have any plans for, let's say, addressing that? Like, if you see somebody driving aggressively in town or getting on their horn when the light just changed, is there anything that can be done about that?
Yeah, I mean, we get traffic complaints daily. The mayor's on most of the emails, so he knows. You know, we do have daily tasks for each officer, for each squad, set forth by division commanders down to the sergeants to the officers. So they have places of enforcement daily that they have to address, and then whenever we get new complaints, as we've gotten today and last week,
Good.
you know, we address those immediately.
Thank you.
Eric. Thanks, Bob. Chief, I just want to thank you for kind of the proactive approach that you guys have taken on the auto theft piece and the burglary piece. It's, you know, obviously we want those numbers to be zero, but I think Madison has really taken a forward-thinking approach to the ALPR programs and now restarting some of our other like home safety inspection programs that has positioned us in a way that word got out on the street pretty quickly that Madison was not the place that you wanted to come and try to do this stuff, because our officers will be on you when you come into town for this. So I thank you and the whole department for dealing with that. And the leadership you've taken on in the county kind of task force around auto thefts as well. I also want to thank you for your creative vision for getting the staff or the department fully staffed. You know, 2023, we spent a lot of time down officers as represented in the overtime numbers, but through your suggestions and the ability to kind of change how we or who we hire and how we hire, we're able to get fully staffed and some great candidates like TJ, who's killing it at the academy right now. So, you know, I just thank you for kind of always thinking outside the box and not just sitting around going, oh, this is the way we solve crime, right? Yeah. That's the way we did it last year. It's the way we'll do it this year. We're really forward thinking. So.
I mean, I appreciate that, and I think one of the biggest things that we all did here in this room was look at the hiring ordinance and see that, you know, it needed a minor tweak to attract our local candidates to, you know, people that we invest in and, you know, that have a vested interest in the town from this area. So, you know, thanks to everyone here in getting that done.
Tom?
So, Chief, great presentation, great job. I think the town feels safer than ever, so keep it up. How many license plate readers do we have now? You're not supposed to.
We have enough.
You're not supposed to. Okay. How many are you gonna buy? $25,000 up there, or was it 50?
Yeah, we're looking at a couple more. Just
Okay.
a couple other locations that were on that were on the list from several years ago to secure, you know, that we feel will secure the perimeter of town, and, you know.
I think the residents are pretty cognizant now too of being safer, how they control their home, whether it's their cars and locking their doors. I see a lot of homes now that have the Ring devices or some kind of digital surveillance cameras in front of their homes, and I think a couple of times it might have even helped.
Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely plays a part. I think, and you know, another thing that plays a part is just the omnipresence of, you know, marked patrol units in the residential neighborhoods, you know, at all hours of the day, especially during the target times, which, you know, can be day shift, night shift, but definitely hitting, you know, those residential areas and being visible.
And I'm anxious to see in a year or however long you want to take to have some statistics on the Arrive program to see how many.
We made our first referral today, actually, before it took.
Yeah.
So it's you know, I think it's going to be big. I think we're going to see the results quick from it. with the social worker being on site and able to, when we're not getting calls for emotionally disturbed individuals or people in mental crisis, they're able to perform that follow-up work with people that, have had issues in the past that we want to refer them to. So,
Sure.
I think it's gonna be big.
And also, maybe you guys have already thought about this and have a plan. There's a lot of community groups that also offer some outreach for different situations of mental health.
Yeah, we utilize Hope One, with the county for different, crisis calls and family issues. We have Project Pride in town.
Yeah,
So there's definitely other agencies that we've been referring to.
Sure, that's great. Thanks, Chief, for all the effort there to get that done.
Rachel?
Thanks, Chief. I just want to say that, based on the accomplishments and the objectives you've outlined, I want to commend you for your leadership over the last couple of years, the philosophy that you brought to the department. I feel like has really set a high bar and a great tone, and I want to thank you for bringing that vision to life over, since you've been in this role. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I don't need to add much more than everything that's been said. Great presentation, Chief, and I just want to remind those in the audience and those watching at home that we provide quite a bit of information on the slides. We ask our department heads to hit on the highlights, but these will all be posted on Rosenet so you can go into the details of everything. And for those that are wondering whether it's going to be on the final exam or not, but we do throw out some lingo once in a while, and Tom alluded to it, but ALPR is automatic license plate reader, so
Yep.
people understand, but it's one of the steps. A quick, you tell me again, what was the decrease in Morris County?
Morris County had a 28% decrease,
That's what I thought, yeah.
according to Prosecutor Carroll.
That's what I wrote down. I didn't believe myself, but it's impressive.
We're the only county in the state that had a decrease.
And Madison is leading the way. I understand that.
We definitely are. We're heavily invested in it. We're involved with the auto theft task force that we've been hosting here in town and in the surrounding agencies. So. With surrounding towns, so it's definitely a coordinated effort with our surrounding agencies and now countywide. So,
Another reminder of a success of not just how you run things in town, but how you work with others in the neighboring area. Because we're not going to survive on our own.
No.
We survive by working together.
Yeah, I mean we're on the phone, talking, communicating, text messaging, all day. So we're trying out new things and just bouncing off other agencies, other chiefs, because I don't have all the answers, so, and neither did I.
All right.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all.
Lynn, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Conley, members of the council. It's a pleasure to speak to you about the library tonight. Can everybody hear me?
Right.
Next slide, please. Construction pretty much dominated our operations in 2023 as we first anticipated it, then actively prepared for it, and finally began the actual project in November. We were very pleased to be able to maintain normal services for most of the year, with a closure of less than 2 weeks to set up our temporary mini library in the Chase Room and our offices in the trailer. In fact, digital services and programming continued uninterrupted throughout that process. Even with these disruptions, we made significant gains in digital and non-traditional circulation, as well as in summer reading participation. Next slide, please. As the chart shows, we've seen a shift over time to the balance of non-digital versus digital circulation. This had been evident for a while, but has become more pronounced in recent years. And what began as a shift necessitated by the pandemic then reversed itself a little bit in 2022 with the return of near normal foot traffic, resumed its trajectory in 2023. This increase in digital circulation is a growing trend seen in all libraries, but that doesn't mean that non-digital materials are not still popular. They still maintain their popularity. As you can see, programming and patron registration have shown steady gains over the last 2 years. A study by Library Journal a few years ago showed that the average library registration nationally is about a third of the residents of any given town. But Madison's registration is closer to 2/3, which indicates the value that the library provides to our residents. Next slide, please. Construction is proceeding well and pretty much on schedule. As of now, we hope to be back in the building by the fall, which is exciting. We do plan to replace much of our furniture eventually with as many of the new items in place for our reopening as possible. But we may need to phase some of it for budgetary reasons. Strategic planning will be a big priority in 2024 as the completion of our construction project represents the full realization of our existing strategic plan. This will help us to meet the evolving needs of the community through both operational and aspirational goals and to connect our patrons with the programs, services, and collections they need to meet their own goals. And now our Board Treasurer, Dave Luber, will discuss the financial.
All right, this chart summarizes sort of the overriding budget considerations for 2024. Prominent is that the 1/3 mil statutory library appropriation for 2024 increased by $211,011. This is based on the change in Madison's equalized property valuation, which is established by the state. We're told what the answer is. We were also advised that the $100,000 annual electric subsidy that we have been receiving from the borough will not be granted in 2024. And at the same time that we first formulated the budget in September, the equity and income markets were down substantially from their 2021 highs. And so we felt it was not financially responsible to increase our endowment contribution for 2024. We will obviously have construction-related capital expenses in 2024, and Lynn will discuss them at the end of our presentation. I'm going to talk about the operating budget. Next slide. Chart provides a high-level view of our operating expenses for 2024 as compared to 2023. Personnel expenses are, of course, by far our greatest expense, 71% of our budget. These include salaries, retirement benefits, health and insurance benefits, and Social Security payments. We show an increase of $21,882 in 2024 over 2023, the 2023 budget value for these expenses, which is an increase of about 1.6%. Note also, we did not budget for the library's 2024 main assessment of $60,692 in 2023, although we did, in fact, end up paying it out of our projected surplus in November for 2023. We have, in fact, budgeted to pay an estimated 2025 main assessment of $65,000 in 2024. Next chart. Operating income. Some of this we've already discussed. The borough support line, which you see up there, is the RoseNet. The borough support RoseNet represents the pass-through payments the library receives in order to make payments to NJ Edge for the borough's internet access. It also includes the maintenance costs for the backup generator that supports RoseNet. This expense, as you will note, has decreased dramatically for 2024, and that's thanks to the negotiating skills of the borough's Jim Sanderson, who negotiated a much less expensive NJ Edge contract going forward, beginning last June. Our variable support includes, in addition to the support we get from the Friends of the Madison Public Library, other gifts and grants, increases, and interest on our bank balance. If you have any more questions, if you have any questions, I will be standing up here, but Lynn will discuss the construction budget.
Okay. Our construction project has been funded through a variety of sources, including a sizable state grant and a significant contribution by the Borough of Madison, first for the resurfacing of the library's roof, and now for the interior renovations. As you can see, the Friends of the Library have also contributed generously, and the library's foundation, MPLI, will add significantly to the funding as well. Finally, the library itself has planned carefully for this project, as you can see from the chart, setting aside funds for capital improvement over a period of many years. Next slide, please. So, the total scope and cost of our project exceeds the part of it that is grant funded, and this was intended on our part. We were advised after our first application failed, we were advised with our second application to limit the request in order to increase the probability that our application would be approved. And it was very good advice. We did succeed. The state grant covers the abatement work, replacement of ceilings and lighting, and the ADA modifications to the front entrance and the lobby restrooms. The library is funding all of the remaining work beyond the scope of the grant. This includes the creation of new study rooms, a conference room, and a teen room, extensive upgrades to the electric wiring and data cabling to provide access throughout the space, as well as new carpeting and new furniture. Thank you so much for your time tonight. We'd be happy to answer any questions you might.
Thank you. Just a couple things on the capital improvements. It's my understanding the library at Chatham's have had to rethink their whole renovations. That shows how good planning has worked in Madison. Theirs was far more involved, and also involved two towns trying to put things together. But I know they're probably looking for a substantial amount from both Chatham's to make that happen.
So the key to this grant was understanding the state's priorities. They made them very clear, and in our second application, it's exactly what we stuck to.
Yep. Like any other grant, if you don't follow the rules, you're not going to get anything.
Yep.
The other thing, just as a point of background on the 100,000 electric subsidy, I think it goes way back, ancient history, which I think it was on the council at the time. At that time, we did not charge any borough entity for their electricity, which certainly did not encourage efficiency and other things, and so we shifted to charging each department and the library for electricity, and to ease it at the time, we covered the cost of electricity. It was the idea that if you did energy savings, it would go to your bottom line, but this is run for decade and a half plus, and so time to shift on to the mill rate, which has been going up. When the mill rate goes up, the borough doesn't get more money, it just shifts, it just adjusts our tax rate, but the good thing is when the mill rate goes up, revenue to the library goes up. Tom? Microphone?
This? Can you hear me now?
Well, we're going to from fines for overdue books to fines for...
Oh my gosh, yeah, we definitely fund the budget that way.
I have to be honest, I don't know the answer to that.
Right.
I would assume the library is one of the most visited places in town. It's probably the most, well, that wouldn't count the schools.
No.
The schools, of course, are far
Right.
away. But leaving out the schools, yes, I would think the library probably has a very high rate of foot traffic. Yes.
And the programs and the things you offer the community are very creative. If I remember correctly, you offer tickets if people want to go to the museum. You get free access to watch streaming media, which is just as being a library member.
Yes.
And we pay for that.
Yes.
The library does pay for that for the community. So I think it's something that needs to be promoted more. I really don't think enough of the community realizes how generous the library is and the benefits that they can get from looking online or visiting the library. And especially once the place is renovated, it's going to be so inviting from a bunch of different reasons, for meeting rooms, like you said, not just to pick out a book.
We hope so. We hope it's much more than just books.
Yeah, I think it will be.
And the museum passes are funded by the Friends of the Madison Public Library. We're very, very fortunate to have that support.
Yeah. That was $100,000 that they gave. Did I read that line?
$100,000 to short construction.
Mm-hmm.
They gave us $48,000 something like that.
Yes. A lot of programming and our extra programming session offers.
And I know you have a very, very intelligent board, which makes a big difference between Tom and Dave and everybody else who helps out. Mayor, are you still there? You still sit on the board too?
Actually, Maureen Byrne is...
Maureen took over for you? Okay, that's good. That's a lateral move. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to compliment you both and all of the library leadership, because in addition to your normal jobs, running and the logistics for construction and planning it and then living through it is just more than doubling your work, or so it must seem. So it seems to me. So I just want to acknowledge that this is such a major undertaking. Seeing these photos, which are the first I've seen, giving us a hint of the transformation that's taking place, and I just want to commend your stick-to-itiveness in making this happen, seeing it through, and I can't wait to see the building reopen. So thank you for your hard work to get us there.
Thank you.
Construction supervisor, meeting tomorrow with the contractor, with the architect, that's my weekly project. It really has worked well. Keep the construction project on its course.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just, since you mentioned the Friends, I'm assuming that the raffle that we're approving here for May 4th is an item of the annual benefit. So people should put that on their calendar so they can support the library through the Friends of the Library. All right. Right, and next, Dennis.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Happy to be presenting and representing the Engineering and Land Use Departments this evening. Starting with our 2023 accomplishments, the road work. We completed the Green Avenue Pedestrian Safety Project as well as road resurfacing, both of which were largely supported by DOT grants. We continue to work with the Complete Streets Committee on traffic safety issues and identifying where modest improvements can be undertaken, but might be significant when it comes to public safety. Continue to do emergency construction work, working with the Department of Public Works, for instance, water main breaks or sanitary sewer issues, to get that work completed expeditiously. And our planning documents so far for 2023 were the Memorial Park Phase 3 trail. Not that we skipped Phase 2, we completed Phase 1. We had an application to the Morris County Trail Grant Program for Phase 2, and they were not supportive of it because of its location near the stream, near the Spring Garden Brook. So we retracted that and we proceeded with Phase 3, which they have approved. Continuing with the 2023 accomplishments, with the buildings, parks, and recreation programs, you can see there, the multi-purpose court, which was discussed previously. One of the ones I would like to point out is Dodge Playground, which we're applying to Green Acres, or have applied to Green Acres, through the Jake's Law Grant Program, which is for fully accessible playground improvements. That was not available to municipalities the first go-around, but late last year they made it available, and the borough jumped on it because we really were virtually shovel-ready. So we are hopeful that that grant will be approved, and it's a significant grant, 75% of the construction costs, which would be north of $500,000 for that project. In conjunction with a CDBG grant that we also got of a $690,000 overall project cost, about $650,000 could be covered by grants. Very excited and pleased about that. And you can see the water and sewer and electric system projects that we have been involved with. The MRC Solar Carport being one of the probably the largest project. That's estimated at about $2 million. I think we discussed that previously tonight. That is out to bid, and the bids are due March 28th. And lastly, you can see the land use services and the summary of the applications and the meetings, and other criteria that we've reported on our land use and planning and zoning board work. For 2024, the department goals are fairly consistent with our prior year's goals. Public construction projects, of course, we'll have another mill and overlay funded by the DOT, partially funded by the DOT. We continue to support and monitor private construction and third-party projects as well. PSE&G gas replacement through the borough has been one of the more disruptive, I guess, but it's a necessary upgrade, and it's good that they've chosen and are staying in Madison to complete the upgrade to the high-pressure gas mains. We have our complete and green streets procedures, utility development, land use boards, and zoning ordinance initiatives. On the zoning ordinance, the most recent revision was to comply with the state's mandate for stormwater control revisions, as well as some local Madison-driven revisions to the stormwater control ordinance. Slide, please. Capital projects this year include, as I've mentioned, the 2024 road resurfacing, which is for Knollwood, Longview, and Valley, which will be on another slide as well. And I'm sure the mayor and the council are excited to see the Cook Avenue parking lot. That project has been redesigned to try to reduce costs, reduce the scope, and reduce the costs. That is also out for bid, and that's also due on March 28th. We're hoping for a good bid this time around. It's an important project and a much-needed project, which incorporates some green infrastructure as well. And as I mentioned, Memorial Park Trail Phase 3, that project has been approved, and we're working with the Department of Public Works to make sure that we coordinate with the removal of any dead, dying, or threatening trees that are local to that portion of it, so we don't incur any unneeded risks.
So to clarify, the only tree removal are dead, dying, most likely ash trees that.
Well, familiar with the emerald ash
come
borer.
down anyway.
Right. Correct, man. No trees need to be removed to construct the trail, but if they're local to, if they're close, they've been identified and they should be removed at this time. This slide depicts work at Well B. It has one of the most exciting photographs I think we can share from the engineering department. A concrete slab with plastic pipes.
Yep, doesn't get much better than that.
That's the location of the transformer pad, the transformer that's going to be installed as part of Well B upgrades. And this slide depicts the improvements to the Cook Avenue parking lot. as well as the three streets that are included in our resurfacing program this year. Again, funded largely by the DOT. Cook Avenue parking lot is not funded by the DOT, unfortunately. In our park and recreation projects, this depicts the Phase 3 trail in Memorial Park, as well as a rendering of the new playground fully accessible playground at Dodge Field. We have a Green Acres grant as well as a Community Development Block grant to support that project. And that's my presentation this evening. I'd be happy to take any questions from the
Questions or comments? A thorough presentation. Obviously, we covered a lot of the capital things back in December, which we've already appropriated money for, but another busy year, so thank you for your leadership and presentation, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
That's what you get for going last. Everyone's done.
Yep.
Thank you, Council.
Yep. And you were at least 10 minutes shorter than Bob Vogel. No. All right. Again, for those watching at home, all these slides will be posted on Rosenet, so you can go in depth with that, with the presentations. And we now move on to ordinance for hearing, which we have none tonight. Ordinance 9/2024, which was introduced our last meeting, has a hearing scheduled for March 11th. And so now we move on to our second of invitations for public comment. This is when the public may comment on any topic. Anyone wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I close this part of the meeting. And we move on to introduction ordinances. Will the clerk please read the statement?
The ordinance scheduled for first reading has a hearing date set for March the 11th, 2024. Will be posted in the, published in the Madison Eagle, posted on the bulletin board and made available to members of the public requesting copies.
I call up ordinance 10-2024 for first reading. Ask the clerk to read said ordinance by title.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $15,250 from the General Capital Improvement Fund for funding to purchase secure smart electric Knox Company key boxes.
Mayor, I move ordinance 10-2024.
Second.
This is part of the capital budget, and for those that are not familiar, Knox boxes are lock boxes that are typically on buildings. Right now, I think we rely on an actual key, and this would shift it to an electronic and far more secure system. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harold Putis?
Yes.
Ms. Honahan?
Yes.
Consent agenda resolution. Will the clerk please read the statement?
Consent agenda resolutions will be enacted with a single motion. Any resolution requiring expenditure is supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any resolution requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. All resolutions will be reflected in full in the minutes.
Mayor, I move the consent agenda resolutions are 92-2024 through R 102-2024.
Second.
Any discussion or any need to be pulled? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harold Putis?
Yes, but I'm abstaining from resolution 102-2024.
And Ms. Honahan?
Yes.
All right. There is no unfinished business. Approval of vouchers. Will the clerk please read the totals?
From the current fund, $7,019,568.03. From the general capital fund, $90,989.98. From the electric operating fund, $484,486.56. From the electric capital fund, $12,384 even. From the water operating fund, $33,305.67. And from the trust, $586,822 even. The total is $8,227,556.24.
Mayor, I move approval of the vouchers.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harlan Putis?
Yes.
Ms. Honahan?
Yes.
There is no new business, and
Motion to adjourn.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Well done.